So, this is Jolie.
Hey, Julie.
I was interested in, Vernadsky's kind of playing with the idea of the noosphere
Hmm.
and how this kind of folds into Hamilton's idea of manufacturing. And I was astonished that his idea of manufacturing was more kind of tactile than I had imagined. He was talking about machinery or something like that, which he's not necessarily talking about machinery. He's talking about, making flax and, spinning wool and getting boards from trees and things that are very, very kind of, uh, they have their origin in the earth itself,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they're not that removed from the human and the earth spirit. So, but anyway, so that's what feels mystical to me, and also the whole idea of the noosphere is like this in this. I mean, it's not all that tangible, but I can kind of get that concept, But I've been really thinking about it ever since I joined in on, or I've been listening, to some of your lectures and so, yeah. So could you talk a little bit about that right now?
Yeah, of course. No, that's a great insight you just had there. And I agree with you completely. And, I as well, I would always hear the term industry and you think of cold, like, the movie by Fritz Lang, Metropolis, like, like human automatons marching into the factory, marching out of the factory, very cold, mechanical. And of course, that's like the Charles Dickens satire. Like what Charles Dickens is attacking is that abuse of automation. Of course, that's a problem, like, anything to excess. But when you appreciate that there's this spiritual creative vitality that it connects us as individuals to the entire universe, which you get when you read Hamilton, or you get it when you read Vernadsky, that they're appreciating that they're very process oriented. They're not just thinking about mechanism will, like, free up human labor by having the machine. No, not at all. They're really appreciating the insight and the technical knowledge and the creative spirit of discovery that is associated with the creation of each of the new fields of knowledge that express themselves in new forms of technology that have, again, a transformative effect on the entire process, the contours of the system as a human body. Almost like you can think of the system as a living, evolving, creative body with parts that all have to work together and be harmonized, just like our body. Our heart can't be too big or too small, or else it doesn't do the work to balance out the functioning of our liver, our other organs. Everything has to have a certain um, natural proportionality to itself, right? And the metabolic power that transforms matter into energy that allows us to do work. It's kind of like the function of the energy systems that sustain your society. And the only difference is, while our bodies definitely have a minimum, like a moment at the beginning and a moment at the end, right? Whereas our spirit goes on beyond. The human economy, it doesn't have that same type of constraint. It could feasibly be, there's no necessary endpoint to how much you can self-perfect as a society. You don't necessarily have to peter out. You could if you're stupid or you allow stupid ideas to govern you, sure, but it doesn't have to happen. You could have wisdom if your society is being cultured to discover its founding, its causal principles that have given birth to the best of its history, which Hamilton definitely does, and so does Vernadsky. And the idea of the rhythms, the cycles that you get in the language that Hamilton uses, and that credit has to be a power of good, while he acknowledges it could also be a power of bad, depending on the wisdom or folly that is activating or using this power to do good or bad, right? It's all about intention. So you get that there. You get that with Vernadsky when Vernadsky talks about the increasing biogenic migration of atoms that cycle through the biosphere, and how the flow of evolution is geared towards the increased cycling of biogenic material, as well as the transformation of matter into energy as new, more advanced species come online that didn't exist before. Mammals are burning more of their food into energy than a reptile is, but a reptile has less sovereignty. its body, when it gets too cold, the reptile doesn't move. A mammal, which came online later in the evolutionary scheme of things, has much more mobility, much more internal heating, more internal sovereignty than a reptile does, but it burns more energy, more economic investment has to go into maintaining the system's rhythms. But as a whole, each one plays a part that's useful in a whole. So both of them think on those same lines. It's really nice.
Well, that's an amazing expansion of an idea that I think for me, has compacted to the degree of invisibility almost. And this is almost like expanding a vessel, a possibility for, it's like instead of drawing this section of possibility of having an idea in this sector, it's actually for me. And so I'm thanking you very much, actually, and everybody here, actually, who's been chiming in is really. I mean, I'm kind of I'm very grateful because it's like I didn't really realize that these ideas were. I didn't realize that one could put a voice to them, actually. So I'm feeling like a baby. Like a baby who's understanding concepts but cannot speak, and yet I'm very excited because I didn't realize that this was a thing, but I've always known somewhere within me that was a thing, but no one's ever talked about it before. So thanks, great.
Thank you.
We've all been there. We know what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's beautifully said, actually. I thank you very much for saying that. By the way, I just shared Sam, who you just heard right there. Sam Lebriere did a wonderful class on Vernadsky, LaRouche, and the American System. I would say this essential viewing. Now that you're on this path, the link is in the chat box. I would save that as a bookmark and throughout the week try to check it out. It's really good.
Sure, thank you.